One thing that esports is lacking as a whole is an abundance of good jerseys. A lot of jerseys in esports are over-designed, polyester, really just mediocre stuff that nobody would wear out in the world in real life. At least that is my perspective. I'm really not a fan of a lot of the jerseys that I have seen throughout my time viewing esports. But I figured today we can look at all 12 teams in the VCT Americas League, look at their jerseys, and rank them from 12 to 1. I looked at every team's jersey, I collected photos of all of them, so I will be showing the jerseys as well as ranking them. So we will be looking at the good and the bad of these jerseys, what I think works and what I think really doesn't. So without further ado, let's get right into it. This is the board we have today. We will be starting all the way at number 12. So for the worst jersey in VCT Americas, I personally put it as Furia. So this is the main jersey that they were wearing in 2024. It didn't have all of the sponsors on it, so this was actually a photo from, I believe, Alibaba or something. I had to really scrub Google to find photos of all these jerseys, but this is the jersey in action. So it's really not that bad overall. To me, it's just boring. You can see that this pattern right here is here. The yellow on the logo I don't really love. I'm glad it's not just like plain on white like it is online and the logo that I use all the time, but it's just not a good yellow. I'm not really a yellow guy personally. There's too many black jerseys in esports, and Furia's one with the combination of the kind of weird pattern they got going on here, which is a common theme that we see in a lot of these jerseys. We see a lot of these kinds of weird patterns. It's not exactly ugly to look at, so maybe it doesn't deserve to be the worst one, but I think just because of how just kind of mid I feel like it is, not really a huge fan of it, it is number 12. Moving on to number 11, we have the newest addition to the VCT Americas, and that is 2Game Esports. Now, I don't know if they're going to be staying with this jersey for the 2025 season. I assume they will be doing some sort of rebrand because their current logo and whatnot is just... it's kind of weird and basic. Kind of looks like an AI logo with the spaceman and stuff on this jersey. Has kind of the more cleaner look with just the 2Game and the esports. But I would still hope that they do something to change it up. But overall, this jersey, again, it's not terrible or anything. It's not an eyesore. It's just kind of boring. I do kind of like the purple on it. It's a decent shade of purple, but the whole split in the middle thing, it just kind of feels like it's doing too much. And they have the whole 2Game Pro logo just way too big. But to me, the logo's kind of just and overall looking at this jersey is just kind of mid. I really hope that whatever rebrand they end up going with is something worthwhile, because purple is a pretty solid color. We don't have a team that has purple aside from them in the Americas, so really hoping they do something creative for the next season. And again, I'm just looking at jerseys that were in the 2024 season, whatever latest edition that these teams had. Moving on to number 10, we have a team that would be a lot higher in this list if it wasn't for what they changed their jerseys to very recently, and that is Crew. Now, overall, I really like Crew's brand, and their old jerseys were pretty solid in my opinion. This is what their old jerseys looked like. You had it mostly being black. Some editions had the Visa logo just right in the middle there. You still had a pattern on it kind of in the bottom half, so it's not super noticeable, but I really thought that the pink complemented the black a lot. Really thought that that was a good combination, and if you're going to have pink on your jersey, I don't think it should be the main color. I think it's a color that can really work as a complementary color, which is not what they did for their new jerseys. Now, these aren't players on the VCT roster, but this is the jerseys they at least have been showcasing recently, including their Valorant roster wearing these at meet and greet events. So it seems like these are the jerseys going forward. The pink is too bright, the Visa logo's too big, the Crew logo is just so small, and it's in white now, which I personally don't like. I really like when the logo is the iconic pink that they've had. Don't really like the shoulders or the pattern that they have in the main chest part of it. So really not a fan of this one. Could have put it lower, to be honest, but honestly, it's not the worst thing to look at overall, and maybe it'll look better in person. But overall, I think Crew used to have a very good jersey. I wish they went back to what they had, but esports teams like to change things up for no reason, even if they have something good going. But yeah, Crew at number 10, maybe I'll turn around on these jerseys at some point. Moving on to number 9, we have a team whose jersey I don't hate, but can't really put too high, and that is Evil Geniuses. Now, looking at their 2023 jersey, I thought this jersey was overall okay. You had the old EG logo with the kind of spikes in the top and bottom. You had dark blue with some green and white accenting it pretty well. Not the best jersey in the world, but not the worst. However, this is the jersey that they had in 2024. So it has the new version of the EG logo, which is just the circle, sticking with the dark blue, but adding a lot more green onto it and kind of having this kind of, like painted on, like paint paint splashes type vibe to it. The whole graffiti vibe with the EG at the bottom. You also have this kind of brick wall with eyes looking through it. Overall, I kind of really like the color on this one, but I think the overall design just really puts it down for me. Don't really like what's going on with the eyes. Then there's a computer at the bottom right and the whole graffiti look, but the logo doesn't really, you know, fit that vibe. Overall, it's just a lot going on. I like that the sponsors are pretty small and are just on the arm as well as kind of up here. So I don't hate it overall, but it's just too much going on. I really wish they went for a more simple look and without all this kind of over design, because this feels very over designed, which is a common theme in esports jerseys. Moving on to number 8, we have a team that at one point had a very clean, very iconic jersey in Valorant, but I think their current edition just really puts them down, and that team is Loud. Now, some people might be getting mad at my placement of Loud, but overall, I just can't really vibe with their new jersey. This is what they have now. They used to have this black with the kind of like Loud logo being the pattern, which I think is over designed, but I think the overall, just the kind of simple like lines with the green, the black and the green looks really well. I think there's way too many black jerseys in Valorant and just esports as a whole, but I think this version of Loud was one of the better ones. But this version of it, I just can't get behind it. I was really trying to find a reason to put it higher up the list because they tried something different from most orgs. They're going with a entirely green jersey aside from the white sponsors and a couple white accents. I don't know what's going on with this pattern. Like, why is there like a dragon's tail coming through it? Don't really understand that. Then the Loud logo is yet again a pattern, but it isn't really like, I guess it's more subtle than the last one, so maybe it looks a little bit better than that, but I don't know, I still don't really like it. I do like that the sponsor logos are pretty small and in white and not just, you know, punching you in the face, but overall, it's just, I feel like we could have gotten a better shade of green here. It's just kind of a boring green. I know you can't really go super bright if your jersey is going to be all green. You know, if you went this green entirely, that might be a bit just too much for your eyes. But overall, I don't know, this green just, it's boring to me, but it's a jersey that's trying to be exciting, but more ends up in the boring category. So I don't know, I just can't get behind this one. I'm sorry, Loud fans. If they had updated this one to change a little bit, maybe change the pattern on it, maybe change a couple things here and there, then we could have had a really good jersey. But I'm just not a fan of what they have done recently. Moving on to number 7, we have another North American team, and a team that is actually kind of big on their fashion side, which makes it kind of confusing that they don't really have a great jersey in my opinion, and that is 100 Thieves. Now, 100 Thieves have gone through many different editions of their jerseys for both Valorant and just as an org overall. Still remember the collared sweater jerseys. I thought it was a fun idea, but it did look kind of wacky. And this is the jersey that they ran with in the 2024 season. Overall, I think the design is pretty clean. I like the whole 3 stripes. It is an Adidas collab after all, so it does have those iconic stripes that always look pretty solid. And I think that simplicity is something that we need to see more in these esports jerseys because they're all just trying to do so much. But this kind of smoky granite pattern just kind of ends up looking like a kitchen counter. I feel like if I throw this jersey on my kitchen counter and then I walk away for 5 minutes and come back and I'm like, where's my jersey? I'm just not going to be able to find it. The Lexus logo is pretty huge on that one, which again is a big sponsor of 100 Thieves, which is very important. But is Lexus really a good sponsor for an esports org? Do esports viewers typically have enough money to buy a Lexus? I don't really know if that's a great choice, but hey, that's not my decision. I do like the sleeves, but overall, it's just this weird granite texture that we have here is just something that I'm just not a huge fan of overall. This is the look on the players, and, you know, it's not the worst to look at. I think it looks overall fine, which is why it's in about the mid-tier of this list. But honestly, I really wish that we saw this jersey again, because this jersey, I think, is quite beautiful. Really hope they end up going to something like this, because I really like the gold on it. I really wish the 100 Thieves logo was a lot bigger on here. You are the team, by the way, but I think that this is a much better rendition of this jersey. I wish they would stick to this one. It seems like this is the main one, so this is what I'm ranking, this is what I'm basing my ranking off of, and just not a huge fan. Wish it was better. Moving on to number 6, we have a team that has followed the trend of just having plain black jerseys, and that is G2. Now, G2's look overall, I think, is pretty clean. It's a pretty simple design. The only kind of over-designed part of it that I kind of feel is these kind of spikes coming out of the side. sides here. Don't really know if that was really necessary. I would have preferred some more stripes, kind of like, you know, like a soccer jersey or a hockey jersey. Don't hate the size of the G2 logo. Again, I wish that Esports.org would advertise their logos more often, but it does kind of work with the alignment of this logo, which I don't know which sponsor this is, but it's there. There's the Red Bull up here, which I do think overall looks fine. It is on every jersey that Red Bull sponsors, and the sponsors overall aren't getting in the way of this jersey, which I think is definitely a good thing. But what held me back from putting this jersey higher is this texture. What is this, man? It looks like a cheap shower floor mat that you get at like a dollar store or something. Like if I just like touch it, it's gonna like kind of stick for a second, you know? I'm sure they look soft, and I guess it's like they're trying to do this whole thing with G in 2. Is that what it, GX? It looks like more of an X than a 2, but you know, it's not the highest res photo, so I don't know. I get what they're going for, but to me, it just kind of holds the jersey back. I think if they just went clean matte, it might be a bit boring, but it would be like better than this. This is how it looks like on the players. I think it looks decent overall, and there is some like reflection on the pattern, which looks fine. So I don't like hate the pattern overall. There's a lot worse patterns that I've seen, but it's a clean look. It just could be better. Moving on to number 5, we have a team with a lot of blue in their jersey and logo, and that is Leviathan. Leviathan's look overall is pretty solid. I really love the blue. Blue is my favorite color, as you know, could definitely not tell by the amount of blue that is in both my graphics and, you know, in my background. If you've never seen blue in my videos, I don't know what you're talking about, but overall, I do really like this jersey. A really nice shade of dark blue complemented with the kind of dragon pattern that's a bit lighter. And unlike a lot of the front-facing textures and patterns that we've been seeing throughout this video, I think this one at least fits the team aesthetically enough for me to feel like it's justified. It's a team with the dragon as the logo. You have the logo, a pretty decent size it looks like. I don't love the sponsors there, but it's not on every rendition. This is how it looked like on the players with some of the sponsors removed, and I think overall it looks pretty clean. I like how the dragon kind of texture looks, and it's not overly offensive to your eyes. I think it has a good shade. It looks good on stage. It looks good on the players, so definitely putting this one in the top half of the video. Moving on to number 4, we have a team that definitely shot their way up this list when they made a bit of a rebrand, and that is Energy. For the first half of the season, Energy had this jersey, the whole white with just a bunch of lines. I'm not a fan of this logo. It's so basic. It's just NRG. Ooh, cool. That's the name of the team. There's nothing fun going on about this jersey. The lines don't look good. The whole diagonal stripes, not a huge fan of that either. But then they switched to this jersey, which I think is much better and looks much better on the players. This is how it looks like on Sam. Isn't he such a beautiful guy? Hashtag my streamer. But overall, I think this rebrand really works for me. The orange of the logo is a great color change. I think it looks great on the black and gray. The sponsors aren't too huge, at least on the front of the jersey. I don't mind how the sleeves look, although they are a bit basic. In terms of the front-facing texture, something we've been talking about in every jersey, I don't think it's the worst. We've seen a lot worse throughout this video, in my opinion, and it looks better in person. It does look much better here than it does in this photo. So overall, I'm putting them at number 4. I think it's well-deserved. I think Energy did a really good job switching this one to something pretty clean. Moving on to number 3, we have an org that has been around esports for quite a long time, so they've definitely had enough time to perfect their jersey. And while it's not perfect, I do think C9's jersey is pretty solid. This jersey just looks really solid. It's one of the cleanest in the entire VCT Americas. I love how the blue looks like in contrast to the black and gray, and the whole pattern thing. I think the kind of wavy things, you know, I think you could do better than that. But with having the large logo being part of the pattern, I think that's a great choice, and it makes sense aesthetically. This is how it looked like on the players last year. Has the Red Bull thing, as you can see, but aside from that, not a lot of sponsorships going on, but maybe that's a bad thing for C9 actually. But overall, I think it looks really good. It's inoffensive, it's clean, it doesn't hurt to look at. I don't look at it and go, wow, this is just a complete ugly catastrophe. It's clean, it's simple, it's nice. It was almost my number 2, but it was not. Moving on to number 2, we have a team that maybe is surprising people that hasn't shown up yet, but I think MIBR's jersey is a really good jersey. So this is a photo I took from Google from AliExpress. It is not the best looking photo. This is a drop shipping version of the jersey. I don't know why there wasn't a clean, easy photo of just the jersey that was like a JPEG or something. It just doesn't seem to exist on the internet. But this is how the jersey looks like on a player. And overall, I think it's super clean. Now, he is kind of covering things, but you can see that there's a sponsor on the chest, and it is aligned with the MIBR logo, which isn't huge, but I really like that they have this kind of, I don't really know what you call this, but it's when the texture kind of moves and you kind of see the rainbow pattern. I really like how that texture makes the logo look. It makes it really fun to just kind of look at it from different angles. You can see how the lighting changes it. It's glossy, it's really nice. You have the little Brazil flag here, you have Monster on the side, but it's not too out there. This is what it looked like on their VCT roster last year. I don't love how the shop link is on the jersey. I don't really understand that choice. But again, it looks really clean. The white and the navy blue looks really nice. We do have another kind of glossy texture going on, but I think this one looks pretty good. It's pretty subtle. You don't really notice it when you're looking at it from afar, and I think it's a decent pattern that doesn't make me hate it, unlike some of the other jerseys on this list. But I think this is a really solid jersey. I love the navy blue. I love how it looks like on the players, and overall just really solid design by MIBR here. I hope they don't change it too much. So that leaves us at number 1, and if you know your teams from the VCT Americas, you know that Sentinels is the number 1 team. Now listen, I don't care if I get called a Sen Blazer for this, I don't care if I get called NA Buys for this, Sentinels jersey is the best jersey in Valorant, hands down. I'm sorry, but this look is iconic. First of all, it just looks great. It's a great shade of red. Red isn't personally my color, but on other people and on the players, it really looks fantastic. You have the logo right here with this kind of chest patch thing that I think looks really nice. It's unique to this jersey. You have the word mark here, which I think looks really sick. Don't know if you need the smaller Sentinels there. I think Sen would maybe be just fine, but that's okay. The sponsors are inoffensive and on the sleeves. Love that. They're not too huge. They're not an eyesore. At times they do sponsors on the kind of other side of the chest, which I think is fine if it looks good, and this is their own drink, Hopium, so that's okay. They also have this new jersey, which they showcased at the recent Sin City Classic, which I love this jersey. I loved how they reversed the colors. I like the new kind of diagonal pattern with the boxes. Looks like a cool checkerboard. This one looks really good, but this one's just iconic. Yes, it still has a pattern that I've been talking about in all of this whole video, but I barely even notice it when I'm looking at the jersey, and I think it looks fine. It's just like a kind of cool, like, indiscriminate mountain range, and I think it looks fine. I'd be fine if they use this one for a while. I really hope we see this one in the VCT, because again, I think it looks absolutely sick, but this one I think should never truly go away. I think Sentinels have hit it out of the park. It's an iconic look. The red for Sentinels is an iconic color for them at this point. They should not stray too far away from this one, at least in their main jersey. And that is my list for the top 12 jerseys in VCT Americas. Let me know in the comments section what you think of this ranking. Which ones do you think I got wrong? Which ones do you think deserve to be higher or lower? What would your ranking be? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next one. Bye.